Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our review episode for The Wayward Dragons.
Yes, welcome.
Uh, yeah, so Kelsey, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. A lot of wedding stuff going on in the background. Um,
Like
yeah.
behind you? I don't see anything.
If you would, so, so I had all like my craft stuff. So I'm making my own flowers and like my own centerpieces and stuff. And I put them in I bought a specific laundry basket to like store all these things in, and I have to take it out to my car because my cats keep laying in it.
Well,
like
a basket, a box, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Well, because like I ordered book flowers specifically made from the Princess Bride. Because if we're gonna go, we're gonna go.
Right.
And they keep laying on the because I've put the box inside of the laundry basket so that everything stays together. And God love Tiger, he just keeps laying in it. I'm like, buddy, I'm gonna have to put this out in my car because you keep laying on it. Like, I need this to stay normal. But no, wedding stuff. We're about to hit Thanksgiving for those of us living in the U.S. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Well, this episode will come after Thanksgiving. So hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. So I hope everyone traveled safely and got to where they need to go, and the Thanksgiving was okay and family members behaved. So how are you?
I'm good. Just the craziness with life and working forever.
Wouldn't it be nice to just quit our jobs and not
Yeah.
have to worry? That'd be so nice. That would be so nice. So what have you been reading? What did you read this week?
So, I was catching up on, not reading. So if you recall, I guess a couple episodes ago, I talked about reading the the Fate of Wizardoms series. So there was a sequel series they did, which was another 6 books, and
Okay.
it was the Fall of Wizardom. Some of the characters obviously cross over, and we had multiple callbacks because when things happen in a world, things get reiterated or get brought back up, and it influences the further advances of the story.
Oh yeah.
Very interesting. They brought up the fact that because giving as little spoilers as I can, basically all the gods died in the original series, and so in this, they set out to create new gods because certain races of individual people and certain cultures, I guess, can't really exist without gods, and people themselves can't really persist without something to worship. So there are certain factions that attempt to make new gods and create new representations of gods, and in some cases that goes decently, in some cases not so much. So it was good, interesting read. I'm glad I read it. I don't know if they plan on doing a third series or not. There's not currently a third series, but even if they did something else that took place in the world, either pre the first series or post the second series, I would probably still read it. I'm definitely enjoying the author, who is Jeffery L. Kohanekam. I am. Listen.
I was like, it's known that we can't. We need it phonetically, or
People
else it's
have
getting butchered.
complicated last names.
They do.
Kohanek. Kohanek? I think it's pronounced.
Kohanek?
But anyhow, on top of that, I also read American Crusades. And let me tell you, this book was freaking amazing. I knew some of the stuff that I covered, but some of the other stuff was very eye-opening. It is in some way triggering in some aspects, but it talks about how the Supreme Court has weaponized religious freedom,
mm-hmm.
in particular Christianity, and how they have used it to pass certain laws for certain bias that are, transphobic, homophobic, anti women
Mm-hmm.
rights, uh, racist, bigoted things that they've used, theology, predominantly Christianity, to justify and to pass laws on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's becoming more and more of an issue, and honestly, it's a little bit terrifying.
Yeah.
This was by Andrew L. Sedler. Definitely worth a read, but like I said, that massive trigger warning.
Do you think it would be a book for everyone to read?
I think it would be. It's very well researched. I think it would be very good for pretty much anyone to read. And I know some people are going to have issues with it and say, well, that's not true, blah, blah, but the evidence are there. He cites all the cases, can give references to every single case he's talking about. It's really well researched and thought out.
Okay. I think there are books that everyone needs to read at some point, regardless of your views on things.
Yeah,
I wish we read those in school versus what you read in school. I think kids should read more of this type stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get into the education system and all of its issues, but
no.
My opinions about the education system in America is that it is massively lacking because they do not teach children to think or to process or to understand.
Nope.
They teach them to test them.
Yep.
And
pass the test. You gotta pass the test.
They teach people to fit into a small category.
Mm-hmm.
That if you don't fit into, you're wrong, even though, you should be an individual and you should be yourself.
Yep.
So it's completely contradictory. And, unless you can afford private education, it's complete garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And the teachers in public schools do not get paid for what they should be getting paid for what they deal with.
Oh, no. Hell
but,
no. Hell no.
But anyways, yeah, so that's what I read, and I could go on a huge rant about that, and I won't because I am, this is my one day off a week, and I'm trying not to go completely batshit and stress out about things that I typically stress out about on a daily basis, and trying to semi-relax in the chaos that I live in constantly. So, that being said, Kelsey, what have you been reading?
I hit my goal on Goodreads.
What's your goal?
I hit my 52.
Them's rookie numbers. You gotta set that up. You gotta up that. I passed that 2 months ago, man.
I know you did. And somebody I went to high school with, her goal is almost 365. I know. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, what? But I mean, she does, it kind of looks like she does smut reviews type thing. She's got a book Instagram type thing and that's what she does. So that's why her goal is so high. But yeah, I hit my 52.
Look, I know someone who professionally reads books and does any sort of editing. They work for an editor, I don't know, a publisher, something like that. But anyways, I don't think their reading goal is that high.
I think if that's what you do every day, I would not want to do that.
Well, also, you don't read the whole book. You get sections of the book.
Yeah, you get a chapter.
Which I would hate.
Yeah, because then you get invested. You've read this chapter and you're like, well, fuck, what else happens?
Well, and depending on where you're reading in the book, it could be spoilers for earlier in the book.
Yeah. Yeah. So. No, but I read 2 books by Ann Rule. Bitter Harvest and Green River Running Red. I like listening to Ann Rule books because it feels like a true crime podcast when you read them, when you listen to them audio. So I had my fiance pick out 2 annual books, and that's what I listened to. I was like, okay, I've loved every book so far. Obviously, Green River Running Red is about the Green River Killer. If you do not know who that is, don't Google it. He's one of America's most prolific serial killers, having upwards of 50 plus victims that they know of. They think he's killed more of that.
There's a time suck episode on that, actually.
Yeah.
Because, there's a time suck episode on everything. But
there is. And then Bitter Harvest is about, obviously, a horrible divorce that happens. Basically, doctor and wife, they're splitting, but there's obviously more to the story, and majority of the children, unfortunately, pass away in the fire. And there's a lot there, like, psychologically, with the woman, with the wife in the story. She's insane. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that without giving too much away. But yeah, I read those. I like, when I kind of catch up on the couple of podcasts that I listen to, I like reading an Anne Rule book, listening to it, because it's like a narrated, one narrator podcast in a way. And then I was walking around in the library, because that's what I do when I get off work early. And I found like a mini series by Terry Goodkind. Have you ever read anything by him?
I do. I know Terry Goodkind.
So I read The Scribbly Man. That was weird. It's very intriguing. Very weird.
The Scribbly Man.
The Scribbly Man. So I'm starting the original series because this is like a branch off from the main series that he writes. It kind of takes place after the whole series is ended. But
so
basically,
I'm assuming you're talking about the Sword of Truth series.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a shoot off of when that series is done. So after he shifts the world in the stars, basically, you find out that they're closer to other worlds now and further away from their normal places because the stars have changed. And I did not have this growing up. I did not believe that. I mean, my parents might contradict me. I don't remember believing in monsters under my bed. But it goes on that of like, you always saw them out of the corner of your eye as more of a shadow. They couldn't really do anything to you. Well, because the stars have shifted, they're now coming through, and that's what they look like, is a charcoal drawing of a man. And that's what they call them, is the Scribbly Man. And this, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's messed up. It is messed up.
Well, the Sword of Truth series is like, it's a really good series, but it's also really messed up. I
got the first one, I think.
There's definitely some problematic scenarios that come up in the story.
Here's the second one. I got it because the cover looks really cool.
You should never judge a book by its cover.
I totally do.
I'm going to shoot you through the webcam with my Nerf gun.
I totally do.
Nest.
I'm one of those people. And when I go to the library, I read on the internet a long time ago that this guy got really great advice from his mom. Always read a book where the spine is really worn, and you'll never have a bad book because it's been read more than once. So I always pick up the books at the library that
I have to strongly disagree with that, because people have read the 50 Shades of Grey series.
We don't talk about 50 Shades of Grey.
I'm going to say that is a horrible bad series.
Book.
And that, you should not take it to any sort of seriousness.
Yeah.
And people have
I
read it.
mean,
Tons of people have read it. It's
yeah,
garbage.
it is. Yeah. So I'm starting the Terry Goodkind, the original series, The Sword of Truth, with the First Confessor. So I'm actually going to start reading. It's like it's 0 if you look on Goodreads. I think it's 0.
It is technically a prequel book.
Yeah. And the freaking text is huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did you.
So they actually attempted to make a TV series back in the early 2000s based off that show, or based off that book series, which, before its time, because, it's a sword and sorcery series, and you can't really have that on public TV. At least you couldn't back then.
Oh, no, not back then. God forbid.
Because technology and stuff, and some of the content.
Oh, yeah.
That's the, if you recall, the Legend of the Seeker TV series.
Nope.
Okay. Well, it's lasted I want to say maybe 2 seasons, if that. But that's what it's actually based off of.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I just think it's funny that, all these fantasy shows are now coming out of the woodwork, and it's all, book series that a lot of either we have read or, our parents, my dad read The Sword of Shahara. He's read all that stuff, and there's a show on MTV. And then continuing my weird Hunter Smith series that I've been reading, I read The Evil Inside. I just finished that actually yesterday by Heather Graham. It takes place in Salem, actually during Halloween time, and it talks about obviously the Salem witch trials, but it goes into more of the fact of your kids pick up a lot of what you say, and a lot of your behaviors that you don't necessarily realize. Your kids pick up, which family you don't like and why, which family members you don't like and why, the people in society, why you don't like them. They don't understand why you don't like them. They just understand that you just don't like them. And this kid called Malachi, he is found in the middle of the road, completely covered in blood. And they arrest him for the murder of his family. And he did not murder his family. I'll spoil that for you right now. I won't tell you who did it. But you kind of go through some of the past of, because Rebecca Nurse is the ghost that is always seen in the book is Rebecca Nurse. And the moral of the story is, your kids pick up a lot of things that you don't necessarily think that they are, and they repeat a lot of your words and your behaviors and stuff like that. So be careful of what you say and stuff like that in front of your kids, because you don't know what they're gonna repeat. That's kind of the moral of the book, which I think is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're Rebecca didn't want the same thing happening. We'll eventually cover the Salem witch trials in the podcast. Of a lot of those accusations were from little girls, in the beginning, and they were towards people that their family didn't like and that their family were having problems with. So was it necessarily true, or was it because their father and mother didn't like that family?
Oh no, it was 100% true.
So that's kind of what they bring forth is we don't want this happening again. This has already happened once before. Don't let this happen again, type thing. Which I thought was kind of interesting. So
yeah,
that's all. And we watched that new Ancient whatever show that's on Netflix.
I've heard good and interesting things about it.
I would recommend. It's definitely conversation. It's a conversation show. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. It's one of those things that you're going to see a little bit and you're going to pause and you're going to talk about stuff and then you got to keep going.
Okay.
So it was good. We watched it while we eat dinner. Yeah, it was actually pretty good series.
I watched The Barbarian,
Okay.
which is a movie that's out that everyone was ranting and raving about. So I had, figured I'd take time to watch it.
Okay.
And as per usual, people don't know what the hell they're talking about because that was not a good movie. And so,
Yeah.
from what I understand, so it's technically quote unquote a horror movie. From what I understand, a lot of like there are several horror fanatics that fall into two categories with it. One group of people love it. The other group of people think it's the dumbest movie ever.
Okay.
Um, Not a big
Okay.
horror fan, but I wasn't impressed.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I was disappointed because Bill Skarsgård was in it, and I love the Skarsgård boys,
Yeah.
and
They're good kids.
yeah, it was disappointing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that's disappointing.
Yeah, things disappoint.
That they do. That they do.
So,
I think this wraps up our book review, show review.
Yep. So everyone who is listening to this, be sure to check out our normal show where we're currently talking about my brain's still blank on what it's called. Spiritualism movement. I'm like the thingy with the people. I was so confident too because I'm just like we're talking about.
I watched it. I watched it all happen.
It's literally it was the moment where for all our listeners, when you're watching something on Netflix or something like that, and you're really getting into it, and you're like focused on it, and then it just starts buffering.
Yep.
That's what my brain just did. My brain did a massive buffer. But yeah, when we're talking about the spiritualist movement, we currently have 2 episodes out. Next week we'll be releasing our 3rd. I believe we plan on doing 2 after that. Yeah. And then we're going to chat a little bit about some magical grimoires and some other mystical books that do and do not have information. And there's a lot of information that's going to get unpacked in those episodes, and I'm still trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to structure them because
it's a lot of info.
There's a lot there. I might do an episode. Let's say I might do an episode each on a couple of well-known ones, and then from there, just do like an episode on some miscellaneous ones that there's not a lot of information on. Like there's one that it was found in Europe that has a bunch of interesting artwork in it that includes like rabbit people killing people, and is in an unknown language that nobody can translate. There's also one with like a bunch of herbs and stuff in it that people can't translate because we don't know what the hell the language is.
Okay.
So those are really interesting to me, but there might be limited as far as information, so I'm still trying to figure that one out. But check it out when it comes out. That'll probably come out right after the first of the year.
Okay. Yeah. So make sure you rate, review, and subscribe, and make sure you tell a friend. We do have a Facebook, Instagram, and a YouTube. On YouTube, I post unboxing videos, and I will soon be posting one not only about Mindful Souls, but there's I got a new one called Aprothy. I think that's what it's called. But basically, you make your own. She teaches you how to make your own bitters and tinctures with monthly herbs that she sends you. And then she teaches you how to grow them. So,
and if you don't check us out on these things, I will shoot you with my Nerf gun.
Yeah, you will.
I have a Nerf gun that I'm threatening people with for some reason.
Hey, I think everyone needs a Nerf gun in their house.
Dude, these things, like, they are way more powerful than the Nerf guns we had as kids. Like, these things
yeah.
These will leave, like, marks on you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
My nephew, my fiance, his nephew. Oh, yeah. They get in Nerf wars. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, until next time.
I'm Johnny, locked and loaded.
And I'm Kelsey.
Bye.